Hey, good morning, Chris. Before you say anything, because I know you're going to say good morning, then you're going to do your thing. So I'm going to just hijack again. The on-ramp today, it's like the on-ramp today, I imagine you and I driving. Let's say you come to my place, we're going to go to Toronto, okay? And Toronto is about an hour and 10 minutes away. We have an itinerary of what we want to discuss in the car. We're 5 minutes away from our destination, and I pull out the itinerary because we've been too busy talking about everything else that wasn't on the itinerary. So before I give you the mic, I want to say something really cool happened. I had a committee meeting on Wednesday, and Michael Leonard was there, and I know you know who Michael Leonard is because you met him at a EdTech summit.
Yeah.
So Michael's there, and Michael drops the bomb on me, and he says, "Hey, I've been listening to your podcast with Chris." And I'm like, "What?" And we start laughing, and I'm like, "So you're one of like the 3 listeners?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm one of the 3 listeners." And he was telling me how, and then he pulled the honesty out of his back pocket. He's like, "Listen, I don't watch the whole hour or whatever. I'll fast forward through the video. I'll stop here and there." I'm like, "Dude, whatever you want to do is what you want to do. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for letting me know." So a big thumbs up to Michael Leonard, who's one of our 3 listeners.
We're slowly meeting them all.
Along the way, yeah, we're bumping into them. What was cool was he said to me, he's like, "I feel like I've spoken to you, and I haven't even spoken to you." Because he knows what's going on, because he's kind of been paying attention to what we do on Saturday mornings. But anyway, so thanks, Michael, and thanks to anybody else who listens. I think I may have said to him, I've said to you, I'll try not to be harsh. Whether you listen or not, we're still going to do this. I'm still doing this because I'm still growing from it. It's cool when people, listen. Maybe they can chime in. I don't know, but it's all good. So thanks for anybody's time to spend with us. You're up, dude. Thanks.
That's awesome. Yeah, you make me think like maybe we should be doing a better job of honoring the listeners. We have to give back to the community somehow. It makes me wonder who's our 3rd listener. Maybe there's more. Maybe there's more, right? There could be other people that are checking the feed on iTunes. I think I had some sort of a I don't know, maybe a little dream, a little something that when we thought, you know what, we'll put this like live on YouTube, and people will kind of get to check it out in real time, and they'll maybe drop us a tweet as we're talking. And I don't know. I don't know if that part has come to be. I don't think wait, I'll check my Twitter feed here just in case. I'll click that up, and yeah, no comments. But I think there's an interesting kind of dynamic there when if we were to ask someone, you go back to your school and you ask someone about their reflective practice. I'm not sure that, and you say, just walk me through what your reflective practice is. I don't know if I would get the answer back that, well, I post things directly on YouTube and I kind of do vlogging. I haven't met anybody, even afterwards. If I've mentioned that you and I do this thing, like people are fascinated. They're like, "Oh, like Catholic board, okay," and elementary, like the dynamic is not lost on them, and I can see in their face that there's a percentage of people that had never considered talking to an elementary teacher, collaborative reflection with an elementary teacher, let alone Catholic board, let alone 70 kilometers away, like in a completely different school board. There's so many things. It's quite remarkable how much difference there is between yours and my context, yet the common grounds that we land on and the topics that we discuss. And I think that for if anybody was asking me about the process, I'd be selling this in a minute. I'd be selling this frame in a minute. Sure, go journal. Sure, blog. Do all that stuff too. But get outside your stomping ground and find some space. Find just a little bit of space, even if you have to keep, one hand in your comfort zone reach out and do reflection like this. Like, do your reflection at a table, a digital table, YouTube table, whatever, and see how your ideas look, not only outside of your head, but outside of your context. And I think that's one of the things that this process has really brought to light to me. I think my personality is that this frame feels natural. This frame seems, I mean, we're both privileged to the degree that I have a video camera. I have a nice microphone. I have a laptop. I have a kit that will allow me to do this. You don't need this much to do it. I recognize that not everybody has access to this, the type of equipment that I have in order to do this. But I will say the idea of collaborative reflection, I don't come across that. That concept, I don't come across it too much. I'm sure there was something else I want to say. Oh yeah, there was something else I want to mention, but it looks like you're scribbling some stuff down. What are you thinking?
I'm just thinking that we finally have some good notes. I'm finally taking some good notes.
I mean, all I did was I just got the header on the drawing. I haven't even put anything on the page yet.
Which is not to, take away, like your sketch note is amazing. I just have chicken scratch. Like I'm just writing down long on-ramp, talking about our listeners, but I wrote down here, just do it. And I even drew the Nike swoosh because of what you said. You're like, I don't know how you reflect. Just do it because it's going to benefit you and your practice. So that's what I have here. And you're right. The privilege thing is, it's huge. Like even we both have an internet connection.
Yeah.
Like there are some people who can't afford to do that or don't have the infrastructure to make that happen. But yeah, this is big time. Like I think you and I, we may be doing it at a different level, but it works for us. And we were talking on the on-ramp about being friends. So it helps that we're friends, right? Because I wouldn't be giving up this much time to anybody. Even when I told my family last night when we were putting the kids to bed, I said, Dad's doing a 7 a.m. podcast. And my wife was like, whoa, she was shaking her head like, are you seriously getting up to do that? And I'm like, yeah, it's the only time that it can happen. So we're getting it done.
You got me, you hooked me with that. I mean, I'm still thinking about the privilege part. You and I first met face to face at the CEA, the Canadian Educators Association, the whole EdCan network, Stephen Hurley, Derek Rodneiser, Andrew Campbell, these peeps, Donna Miller Fry. There were a lot of really cool people in the room. But our friendship started in privilege. I'm thinking about this now. It started in privilege. We had an invitation to a nice meeting in a safe space with educators that were like-minded. We got a lunch. We had vehicles that got us there. We had an employer that released us. We could afford the gas, I'll assume. And it's interesting, you put it like I have no doubt that if you and I had met at some point, that we would remain connected. There are elements of you on a human level that attract me to get to know a person. I'll say that flat out. But thinking about how privilege accelerated that. And it's funny, I've been watching some of those bits and pieces of conversation where, you remember you had thrown that link to me about the new upstart for the Google Glass, but it's not Google Glass. It's the new company that's putting it out there. And it's kind of remarkable, whatever. That was like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, maybe. Was that summer school when you were talking? It was a little ways back when you dropped that. And your POV was that the potential for empathy building and compassion building by using a tool like that. Like you're able to sort of access a sense of deeper connection by having, a Google, I should stop saying that. By what do we call them? Smart glasses. So by wearing something that's a smart glass interface, going down the path of cyborg style, that raises the possibility of being more empathetic, potentially even more compassionate. And technology, to a degree, and the privilege of having the technology that you and I have is kind of proof of that. We've furthered the friendship through the technology. And I think you and I had we had a parallel philosophy. I shared your philosophy when you were doing connects, and I was a little bit pushing more content out for squirrels. And there was a reality to some of the people that were fascinating to me. There wasn't going to be the opportunity for me to meet them. There were individuals that were just outside of my stomping ground. Like I'm not going to be able to get in the car to go talk to them. But the technology got me there. And I was thinking about this the other day as I was going through some of the episode list of the people that I was talking to. And I was actually a little embarrassed that I haven't pushed to get to know them more. Because there's individuals, because the people that I was approaching were and are fascinating to me. There was something, like I wasn't just trying to find randoms to talk to. There was something about something they were developing, a quote that they had said, their accomplishments, their blog posts, their Twitter, their tweets. There was something there that got me thinking, I'd like to get to know them more. And I'm in some ways becoming, I guess, nostalgic, but also questioning, why haven't I pushed harder to get to know these people? And part of the on-ramp today, you and I talking about kind of confronting ourselves with our body of work, confronting ourselves with who we are and who we aren't at this sort of like stage in our lives. Funny, I mean, this is timely as well. My birthday's next week, by the way. Just saying. But that falls in step with that, right? Like the numbers produce sometimes a philosophical seat for you to sit in. And it's easy to count stuff when you're looking at those number of years and you want to see, if you make it a checklist, I would say, what am I still doing things with the years that I have that I shouldn't? Should I be switching it up? And if I use a specific example, you and I have proven that friendships can can be rooted and bloom from digital connections. And I ask myself, am I working hard enough to do that IRL? So the people that I do have around me in my circles, and are there others in my feeds that I'm thinking to myself, I do need to get to know them better? I'll say there's probably a little element here that if, pushing too hard, like a cold call in your digital feeds might weird some people out. So there's always, a little bit of tactic there. But yeah, that's go for it. What are you thinking? I saw the hand gesture pop up.
I'm going to go backwards. I think the pushing in your digital spaces, that might seem weird, the cold calling. If that's who you are, then that's who you are. And I would say, don't lean against that. Just do it. This is like the Tony Robbins in me, I guess. I'm like, just push through and do what you need to do. And people will either accept it or they won't. And so if you're good with that, if you're good with they buy it or they don't, then just move forward, number one. And it's not like I'm telling you what to do. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, hey, if you don't like it, back off. It's like, I think the last time we talked, I don't know if we ever talked about the teacher in my board who tweeted out about why she tweets, because she was asked, like, why do you tweet so much? You got to do what you got to do. Like I tweet what I tweet, and if you don't like it, then hit unfollow or mute me. There's not much more for me to say. Mute it or unfollow it or block it. Do what you like with it. I'm not going to back off because you don't like it, because I like it. And I'm doing it because I feel there's something there that's working for me. So I wanted to throw that down. The other thing I wanted to throw down, God, we come back to relationship building a lot in this podcast. Like, it seems like we're always talking about humans connecting.
I question my skill sets all the time. And I've had some life things pop that have really in a I will say, can you say positively devastate? Does that seem hopeful enough? I would say I have had some moments in the last 3 to 4 months that I would say have positively, or how about this, devastated in a positive way, what I thought was what I hadn't even considered was my operating system. It's almost like my mind about what I was doing. Put that back on the camera. My mind about what I was doing. I'm using my mic. I was looking at my mic like it was the camera. My mic's here. I should be looking here. My mind was completely separated from my action. And I had situations that happened right in between that just smashed that barrier. And I realized that what's going on in my head is not what's going on in front of me. And to just touch on it in specific relationship to some of the rebuilding that I'm doing with my mom and my sister right now. And the space between my mind and my action, there's been some catastrophic change towards the positive. Okay. And it's so that's what's really kind of firing me up right now. We come back to relationships, I think, and I would like to believe, is because it's an important topic for you and I. I think our exploration of who we are and what we offer has been a slow kind of unwinding. You know, when I mentioned to you we should do the 24-hour episode one time, I have no doubt 22 of those hours would be about relationships in some way. And, you know, goes without saying, that's almost always the topic. It's almost always somehow the topic in EDU. Maybe I'm just starting to pay attention to it. Like I'm letting it in. Like I said, catastrophic change towards the positive.
I get it. I like that. I feel derailed. I was
Good thing we're not live.
Yeah, right. Good. Hey, for the few people listening, sorry about that little brain bump there, but
call in, tweet in, help us out here.
Right. We'll be waiting here for days. The camera will still be rolling, and we'll be skeletons just waiting in the future. Can I? Is it okay if I keep going backwards?
You push.
Okay, so you kind of nailed me there, because I think my whole talk on the on-ramp was about the positive devastation. I could be wrong, but I like the way you put it. It kind of reminds me of what I was talking to you about. But going backwards, talking about relationships, I hear what you're saying about like the in real life time and giving that time. You say that, and my head just says no. My head says no. Because of the logistics of the day-to-day operations and being able to, like, it was great meeting you at the CEA event. And I think I give you credit for that, because it was you who sought me out. Like, when I think back to that time, we connected digitally. We were talking podcasting. Then we realized we were both going to be there. And you're like, yeah, dude, I can't wait to meet you. And I'm like, bring it on. It's going to be good times. But I think you sought me out in a way. You're like, Roland, Chris, hey, man. We had lunch. You. Yeah, that's...
That's another episode altogether. Yeah, I was like, hey, go. It was all good, though.
You're one of those people. One of those people. That's fine. There are lots of those.
I've discovered that about myself. You brought it out of me.
Yeah, right. But that was a great conversation that we had there. And, you know, that was one of the many amazing conversations we had that day with those people. And again, man, just blessed and privileged to be part of that experience. Big thumbs up to CEA and Stephen Hurley for making that happen. I want to keep rolling back. So we talk about in real life, we talk about digital. I want to talk for a moment about those uncomfortable situations in real life.
Okay.
And then I want to move that right back into smart glasses. And then we have a little bit of time before you have to take off. But I was talking to my ESL teacher. We were having a laugh about something. Then she left and she went to another room. And after she left, I was still processing, grabbed some stuff, went into the photocopy room, and she was there. And as I'm photocopying, I said to her, I said, I know usually when people don't want to talk to me, and I either push it or I back off. And she just starts laughing. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, and then somebody walked past the room. I said, see that person? They're like, yeah. I'm like, they don't want to talk to me. I don't think they like me. And I know that. And now this lady is dying. She's just laughing because to her, this is like comedy. She's like, what are you doing? Where is this coming from? And I'm thinking, it's coming from the conversation you and I just had a few minutes ago in my room about a particular topic and the people involved. And it had a moment of reflection that there are some people in the building that dislike me. And hey, like, this isn't a pity party. There are some people that I don't really get along with either. So I'm putting it out there. It's a two-way street. But I can tell, like, when I'm talking to somebody, I can tell by their body language. I can tell by the look on their face. They're like, oh God, I don't want to talk to this guy. And I have to say, there are moments in time where I play with that. I just keep talking. Man up and get up and leave, or tell me you don't want to talk to me, or just take it as it comes. Those are your three options. And when I'm in a situation like that, which I was the other day, I just stopped. I just turned my head away from the person. They were still talking. I just wasn't listening to them anymore. And I know that that's rude. And I know that it's not socially acceptable. But at that time, that's what I was giving that person. I wasn't going to leave because I was part of something that was happening. I wasn't going to tell them to leave me alone. So I just turned it off. Now, so here's, in my rewind, you're going to get where I'm going with this. Not just that I was about to use a swear word, Chris. Not just that sometimes I'm a bad person.
That's happened to me a couple of times this week, and I was actually I pulled it right back. I was proud of myself. Not that I'm swearing all the time, to be honest, but there was moments where it would have been way too easy just to move ahead with one of those words. I didn't. So good. I'm going to credit you with self-regulation. 1 point, Roland.
Thank you. Life 0, Roland 1.
There we go.
Okay, so now back to the smart glasses. In my world, in my reality, these smart glasses that can tell you when you receive a text or tell you when you receive a phone call, I love it, but let's bump it up. Let's get the neuroscientists involved. Let's get everybody involved so that these glasses have a sensor on them that can look and recognize the other face that you're staring at, and then can analyze the look on that face based on like research on muscle contractions and like body language stuff, to then feed back to you whether that person's interested in you or not at that moment in time. Take their body temperature, like gather all the information that you can get that we know about that's individually placed in science, bring it together, excuse me, and drop it into those glasses. So when I walk up to you and you smile and you start to warm up in a way that shows positive affect, that those glasses tell me engage. This person wants to talk to you. This person's okay with your presence at this moment. Engage. Now, this can be for people that have no clue. They have no inkling on body language and reading people in a way, or may not have the gift, because some people have that gift. They may not have the gift to be able to decipher whether somebody's interested in you at that moment or not. I feel like I have a little bit of that gift. I can tell when you don't want to talk to me. Now, it may just be that you're preoccupied, your mind's somewhere else. Got it. But when you're friends, when you're friends, you can play with that. When you're not friends, you can't, because you don't know the person. But if we're going to make these smart glasses, we're going to invest all this money, then can we add some more of this layers to this? Can we add that I walk up to you, hey, can I have a minute of your time? And then the glasses spit back, not now. This person's not going to be present. the way that their facial expressions, you know, they just how fast their heart is pumping at that moment in time because they're not feeling good or whatever it is. That would be simply amazing to have a device that could try the AI to try to decipher those things and then be used to give someone feedback on where to go next. It brings me back to, I can't remember what school I was at, but I remember walking into a room. I walked into a room to talk to a teacher, and I literally burst in the door, and I was manic. Like, I was feeling good. I had something to say, and that person wasn't facing me. And I'm like, hey, so-and-so. And they turned around, and the look on their face was 100% they were not there at that time. Now, it's an extreme example. They had just gotten a phone call. Something was wrong with their home life. So they were devastated. But I didn't continue on with, hey, I've got a great idea for a math unit next week. Like, I didn't go. I looked at them and I said, oh, sorry that I just jumped in. I'll leave unless you want to talk about something. And they didn't even talk. They just nodded their head, and I left. And I knew, that person's having a life moment, whatever it is. And I asked if they wanted me involved. They said, no, I'm out. Some people don't do that. Some people walk in and the look on your face is devastation, and they just keep rolling. But I would like a deeper level. I would like a deeper level smart glass or smart chip that could somehow connect to you to tell you when to back off, when to engage. See, for me, it would say back off, red light, and I'd still engage, because at that moment it might be, I don't care, I'm pushing. And that's like, if you want to go deeper for a second, that may be my dark side. Well, part of it. I think there are some people that tell you it's pretty deep, but part of that dark side is pushing back sometimes when I know people aren't interested. I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you don't like what I'm saying it anyway. Sometimes. And then there's other times where I back off. But I think, and you and I were talking about this before, that's part of me getting to know me. That's part of me figuring out where I am. But that layer exists at work, because I'm with the same people every day for 10 months. And I'm with my students every day for 10 months. So you would think that some of these things that we talk about, I definitely take it back with me to work. And there are people in the building that I don't get along with, and I'm sure they don't get along with me. And you could delve into reasons why or whatever, but I'm not going anywhere, and they're not going anywhere. So you make the best of it, but you also, you dance around being a decent person and not. And I'm just saying that it was really cool for me to express to my colleague that I know when people don't want to talk. I know when people are uncomfortable, generally speaking. The way they turn away, they try to make an exit. I would rather they just say, I don't want to talk right now, and go. But that's just me. Anyway, so I was able to go backwards all the way to smart glasses. Wouldn't it be awesome if those smart glasses could actually be really smart and could really give you information that other people are silently giving you, but that you're not reading them? I think it'd be awesome.
I'm going to blow yours up now because we didn't get to cast last week. Life, hey, that's the way it goes, right? Isn't it funny? That's like, I got to pause on this. I'm looking at the clock too. I'm going to try and keep this like tight. The fact that we're living and doing casting still is, I think, a testament to some deep learning. I think back to squirrels. I think back to the scheduling. I think back to the coordinating and kind of negotiating conversation time. And now, albeit, you and I have a guest every week. It's you and me. We're reflecting. It's sort of, we're getting to the conversations in a way that I think honors the conversations, honors the people that are part of them away from us. And I really do believe it stays in step with our lives. we didn't get to talk last week, and I think about how different that is philosophically than when I was actively doing my own podcast, because I would really feel the grind of not being able to make those conversations happen. And then the editing, and then the waiting, and then the sort of like the posting, and the, do I hit publish at this time or that time? Like there were elements of making sure that that kind of was revealed to my PLN. So I just noticing right now the fact that when I said we didn't talk last week, it's for the right reasons that I would have never considered when I was casting before. Just an observation. The thing I wanted to drop was about, I mentioned that I went to Quest, and Quest is the, it's the quest for student achievement, student wellness, student awesomeness. It's the big conference, once-a-year conference that my school board holds. And to that relationship building thing and reading the room. So I had been advised from other colleagues about Quest, and I know this about Quest, is that you don't sit in line with the door. And all that means is there's 3 doors that, actually 4 doors that lead into this massive ballroom where much stuff takes place. And then they have all the round tables in there. It looks like a, well, giant conference, right? So I was advised, don't sit in line with the door, because that becomes the path that everyone wants to walk through in order to get to their table. So you're constantly moving your chair, and it's tight. It's tight in there in the first place. I walked in, and the table that was most attractive to me was in line with the door. There's a dude sitting there by himself. He was a little bit of digital, but then he was writing something on paper and then kind of just looking around the room. So it felt like an open moment. I thought, okay, I'm going to go against the grain here. What I was told, I'm going to go sit with this guy. And I will say I sat down with him, and it was a great conversation. Before our other colleagues showed up, it was an amazing conversation. And it was funny. I related to him the fact that I had been advised not to sit near the door because of the traffic. But I had to tell him, I said, I'm so happy that I did, because this is phenomenal. I was really happy to meet you. So dude's name is Arthur. He's an elementary principal in my board. And we got a really cool chance to kind of decompress and land and just talk about Quest and some of our expectations and what we're looking forward to. And I thought it was a good connection. And then our other people showed up. And this is how I measured that it was a decent connection, is that our colleagues showed up, and we would sort of have these quick conversations with our colleagues. And then Arthur and I would turn back and keep talking about stuff. So even in plain view of other individuals that know us at a deeper level, and I was with good peeps, like the people that were there, I still felt compelled to talk to Arthur. I wanted to talk some more about some of the topics we were talking about. And that it has been in part of I don't know, it's a little bit of I've been thinking about all the people that I haven't met yet at my school. So I sit in a staff meeting and I look at how all the silos of people sitting around the room. And I've actually set a goal for myself to get to a very clear first name basis with everybody in the school before we hit second semester. Because there's people that you nodded at the hall because you know that they're in the school, right? You just see them but actually to be able to say good morning, insert a person's name. I've set that as a personal goal. Now that I'm there, I want to get to that place at least of professional courtesy to be able to name people as I walk in the hall. And I think it's going to be a big challenge for me. That's what I'm taking from the Google smart glass conversation, but also just realizing how I build relationships and what I need to do. I need to confront my own operating system, things I don't do that I need to do.
I can't wait to hear how that plays out. I mean, I could do the same thing in my building. There are people there. There are people there that I rarely see, and when I do see, I'm flipping through my Rolodex of names because there are some people that you just never run into, right?
Yep.
And in a high school, I imagine that is like times 10, because high schools are so big and there's so many people and so many departments, and people get caught up in their own world. Like I imagine with the work you do with like the special needs students in the section of the school where you guys and girls work, I'm sure you may not run into the visual arts people that much just because they may be on the other side of the school or whatever. Yep. I don't know. Yep. You might talk to the people right next door. It might be the history. I don't know. History, social studies is right next door. I don't know, but
no, you're on the right track.
Okay, so you might talk to them because they're literally right next door. But you know, the shop teachers, you're never going to see them because they're downstairs in the garage, and they probably don't come out of there either, right? Anyway,
that's my intent.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to hearing more. You should create a hashtag on Twitter that nobody will follow, but that you can document your journey. This is my newest thing. I love people creating
people
stuff.
that I've met,
people, whatever you want to call it. Cliff Connects. Only I'll look at it.
Yeah.
Nobody else will. That's my favorite thing. I love that. I love hashtags that nobody's ever going to look at. I love it. I don't know why. I think one thing, I guess, and then you're free to leave because I'm not letting you go right now. But I love creating the content to live somewhere that one day I could say, hey, go there. A lot of times recently when we're talking about 3D printing with people, I just give them the link to the blog that I created when I was working hardcore on a 3D project. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't know this was here. And I'm like, of course you didn't, because it lives in the cloud with like 8 zillion other things. But I was able to document some of my thinking and my actions over, a year. And here you go. Take it and do what you will with it. I think that's fun. So it'd be cool for you to do that. But I'm looking at the clock and I'm trying to honor your time. So unless you have something crazy to say, DeCodEd podcast episode 10 of season 2 is finished.
I'm all good, man. I'm all good.
Okay, so hopefully we're on next week. If not, it'll be good to connect with you again soon.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
You too, man. You too.